It starts this time, the grand finale, the new hour-long adult animation series, Invincible. Let's fly high with the help of a really creative mind. One of the minds that, before this pandemic dystopia we're living in, brought us The Walking Dead, one of the biggest hits from Skybound and Image Comics. He's going to introduce us to the adaptation of another great story. Invincible on Amazon Prime Video comes with an all-star cast, and we're going to talk to all these talented people right now. Please welcome to CCXP Awards, Mr. Kirkman, co-creator, writer, and executive producer of the show. Mr. Stephen Young is Mark Grayson, Invincible. J.K. Simmons as Nolan Grayson, the Omni-Man. Zazie Beetz as Amber Bennett. Gillian Jacobs as Eve Wilkins, Atom Eve. And Mr. Zachary Quinto as the robot. Welcome to CCXP Awards. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you.
Good.
Oh, great.
Thank you very much for your time. So great to have all of you here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Let's start with Mr. Kirkman. I would like to start with you. Please, can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of Invincible as a comic book title, and when and why did you decide to adapt it as an animated series?
Yeah, I mean, Invincible started as a comic book series in 2003. It was co-created with a guy named Corey Walker, and a guy named Ryan Otley came on to be the series artist very quickly, and it came to be as it was kind of like everything that we loved about the superhero genre thrown into one story. So, if we wanted to do space type stories, we go into space. If we want to do, sad, dramatic stories, we can do that. But it was basically like everything you can get out of superheroes put into one book. It lasted for about 16 years. It was a big hit, and then became a show because Amazon decided very wisely that they wanted to get into the adult animation space, and they thought that this would be a good pick. And so far, I agree with them.
Well, fans got their first look at the series back in October. It really established how this show will set itself apart from the other superhero properties. We thought our fans would love to see that teaser trailer again before going into the greater detail on the stories, so why don't we show it right now?
Son, kids your age think they're invincible. And it holds them back, makes them careless. You hear it?
I do.
Were you nervous?
A little. I can do this! I need something to punch.
This is the beginning of a long journey for you, son. The thing is, you're different. You actually are.
It's a very realistic approach to violence in a superhero world, which we seem to be seeing more and more of in other shows like The Boys. But Invincible was one of the first comics to take this approach, right? Do you think that this kind of narrative has become more acceptable today than it was back when you started the comic book in 2003?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I think people are a little bit more well-versed in superheroes as a whole now, and I think that Invincible as a story kind of deconstructs the superhero genre overall, and I think that now that there's, all these, huge television series and movies, it's a great opportunity to kind of get in there and focus on what is great about superheroes while also commenting on some of the weirder aspects of it and different things that are done. And we're able to do a lot more with Invincible because it's a television series and because we're on Amazon. We get to actually realistically portray the consequences from these massive epic battles that you see in all these movies. So we get to spend a little bit more time dealing with the aftermath of things, and it's going to make for a much more well-versed and well-rounded superhero show.
Steven, I've heard you were a big fan of the Invincible comic before. How did you become involved in this project? Was it something that you actively sought out, and what about it resonated with you?
Yeah, I was a big fan. I actually hadn't read Invincible until I worked for Kirkman the first time on Walking Dead, and I kind of devoured his whole catalog of work. And I think what I really loved about Invincible was, if you're into superheroes or if you're into comic books, he wrote the version that I think all of us wanted secretly deep down inside to see. And it was really cool to be able to read something like that. And in terms of, seeking the show, I'll be honest, I actually had no idea Robert was going to make this into an animated show. And he called me about it a couple years back, and he's the best. So I just usually don't say no to him. Don't laugh at my own compliment to you. But yeah, of course I would have worked with him. So it was an honor and a pleasure.
So at first you thought you'd be flying for real, like with cables, with wires?
Oh man, no! I knew he was only entrusting me with the animated one. He wasn't gonna give me the live action one. He doesn't trust me.
Yeah, after working on Walking Dead, I was like, from now on, voice only.
Yeah, just voice only.
Well, this being the second time you're working together, what is on Robert's characters that really makes you particularly interesting about this character, Mark Grayson?
Well, Mark is really awesome. He's kind of your everyday teenager going through his everyday teenage problems. He got a couple of secrets and a couple of things that he's becoming aware of. I think that's a very classic story. In terms of Robert and working with him in the past and getting to work on another project with him, I think what's really great is Robert leaves space for an actor such as myself to come in and play. I think with Glenn, he opened a space for someone like myself to be able to play that character and make it my own. And I think in this particular case too, he leaves that door open. And so again, I like Robert, so this is a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Simmons.
You gotta stop. I can hear you, Robert. I can hear you.
I love you too, man.
Mr. Simmons, fans geeked out a little bit when they heard your voice as an Omni-Man in the teaser, which goes to show how casting is still so critical in animation. What are the challenges of portraying a character when you're not in front of the camera, and how have you infused yourself into this particularly role?
Well, I think the challenges, really, from my perspective, are kind of outweighed by the advantages of working in animation. It's just simpler, not easier necessary, but simpler. And in my case, I often find myself just closing my eyes and kind of going into that theater of the mind kind of a world, and playing the way I would on camera, except I don't have to wear pants. There are exceptions to that, of course. One of the really fortunate, good aspects of the way we recorded this was, and this is highly unusual in my experience in animation, there were 2 or 3 occasions when they had Stephen and Sandra and myself, actually playing a lot of these, pretty dramatic and sometimes comic family scenes, mother-son scenes that usually you're in the booth by yourself, and you're either the first guy who's kind of, creating what everybody else has to respond to, or you're the guy responding to what's already been laid down. So that was a fairly unusual aspect of this process that I really enjoyed.
I'm not asking if you're wearing pants at this moment. Let's jump to the next question, which is...
Sweats,
the relationship between Mark and Nolan is central to the series. And it helps to ground all the crazy things we see taking place around them. Even Omni-Man, being the most powerful superhero on the planet still has issues with this kid, right? How does this relationship change as Mark's power began to emerge, and how is Nolan handling that?
That was really the first thing that I was really drawn to when I read this. I guess the first 3 episodes maybe was what I was able to read at first, was that relationship, and Robert and the writers did such a brilliant job of creating. I mean, it's a father-son relationship. Every father-son, and I've been the son and I've been the father, goes through this bizarre period of adolescence and puberty where the son is, sort of struggling with his own burgeoning power, and the father is struggling with the burgeoning power of his offspring, and I think it's such a brilliant way of examining that relationship, and in addition to the husband-wife relationship that Omni-Man has managed to keep secret for all these years, but as things begin to come out, as his son has come of age and he's revealing everything to him, it's a really actable and dramatic and fun dynamic to play.
Bisbits, you're an actress that has played very different characters across multiple genres, and you've been doing it so great. This won't be your first foray into the comic book universe, but Amber is different in the point that she has no superpowers. How is she still a strong and formidable character in this world?
Well, first off, thank you for thinking I'm doing great in all my roles. And in terms of Amber not having superpowers, I think she's sort of a great representation that our power really is just in our personal convictions in life and what we find important and how we follow through on those things in a way that I think Mark is a little bit struggling, actually. I feel like he's trying to figure out his personal and his duties and his responsibilities, and Amber has this kind of very clear, focus on what she thinks she needs to do. And I think that, in that way, that's her power. And she has this strong sense of social duty, and that kind of mirrors this sort of superhero sentiment, I think, of serving the public and serving the people at your own, sacrificing the self to do that. And, you don't necessarily need to be strong or physically in order to do those things. And it comes from character and personality. So, the hero, I suppose, is within all of us in that way. And Amber represents that.
We know that Amber is a student at Mark's school. What are her first impressions of him, and how does this otherwise unassuming guy first grab her attention?
There's a bully in the school. His name is Todd, and he bullies Mark, and he is kind of a little strange with me. And Mark defends me, and he kind of gets beat up, but I sort of intervene, and Amber is just intrigued with this person who came to her defense and who stood up, I think, in the same way that she stands up to when she sees injustices in the world. And so she sort of sees that bond could maybe, or that similarity could be a bond between the two of them.
Ms. Jacobs, you're playing the superhero Atom Eve, and in addition to being one of Mark's classmates, she's also a member of a superhero group called Teen Team. How would you describe Atom Eve's role on the team, and where do they, as a group, fit into this superhero world? Do you view her as a symbol of female empowerment?
Atom Eve, I think, is a powerful superhero, but she is also still a teenager, and I think the teen team sometimes has internal disagreements about how to proceed, and Atom Eve sometimes gets frustrated. So I think it's that duality of having these powers. She's had her powers for longer, so she's not discovering them as so much as enhancing them, and then also learning how to work as part of a team, which is not always easy.
As Mark and Eve become more familiar, we see her take on interest in this development of him as a superhero. How do you think Atom Eve's support for Mark either complements or conflicts with the training he's undertaking with his father, Omni-Man?
Well, I think there might be some differences there that I don't want to say too much about, because I'm not sure how much.
No spoilers.
But I would say that definitely they may have differing opinions, Atom Eve and Omni-Man, and you'll see that play out over the course of the episodes.
Last but not least, Mr. Quinto, so nice to see you again, man. You're no stranger to this geek culture, right? And once again, you're playing a character this sort of robotic. How is this character similar to Mr. Spock, and how do you think they differ?
Yeah, I think there's a kind of crispness to Robot that allows him to communicate without the messiness of emotion, and yet I think they're different in the sense of what's underneath that surface. I think Spock has a kind of duality in the same way as Robot does, but it's you come to learn that it's from a very different source, and I think there's a deeper reservoir of complexity in how Robot unfolds. Right? I think we know the duality of Spock. It's identity, and it's something that he doesn't really have a hand in, which I think is I'm trying to talk around the spoilers, but yeah, I think you learn a lot as the season goes on about why Robot is who he is.
Okay, that was good. No spoilers so far.
Thanks.
Everybody knows that you're a very politically involved artist. How does that influence your work choices? And do you think this show or your character can bring any political or social messages to the audience?
Yes, and I think genre narratives and storytelling are often so popular because of their allegorical resonance. Comic books in particular, and superhero stories, I think, are often about empowerment and, like the point that Zazie made before, which is that, ultimately power comes from within ourselves. And I think those are oftentimes the morals of stories like this. So I don't necessarily, sometimes I choose projects because of their political resonance, but I was more interested in the format of this, animated series, the people who were involved. This was less politically motivated than some other decisions I've made and may make in the future, but I'm certainly grateful to be a part of it.
Let's try to mingle some questions to get everyone involved. For all the domestic family and interpersonal drama in the series Invincible is full of larger-than-life action sequences and memorable superheroes and villains alike. without spoiling anything, what is your favorite interaction between characters, Robert?
Look, I think it's unfortunate, but I have to mention Sandra Oh here. She wasn't able to be here, but I think that Sandra's playing this character Debbie, who is Omni-Man's wife and Invincible's mother, and she's this human character that's kind of in the center of these two superpowered people, and there's a tremendous amount of conflict that comes from those relationships, and the interactions with Debbie's character portrayed by Sandra, I think, are some of the best scenes in this series.
Anything I say might be potentially spoilery, so I won't say too much, but I am very much looking forward to people seeing some of the scenes that I got to do with JK. That was fun, and I think that's all I really can say about that, so I apologize.
Can you add anything, Mr. Simmons?
Well, not much, other than to echo that. Really, as I said, the family dynamic, especially the father-son dynamics, really are what I found really attractive and interesting about this. And I think is something that audiences might be a little surprised by, because this is a serious, dramatic, adult superhero animated show, but there's a lot of humor too, as there tends to be, at least in my house, in life in general, even during the sort of awkward stages and even in periods of conflict, which of course in a superhero world tend to escalate somewhat. And now I'm going to shut up.
Ms. Bates?
I have to say I kind of agree. I think the family dynamic I find really interesting between Debbie, Mark, and Nolan. And I think, again, like Robert was saying, I think Debbie's character is sort of this, I don't know, she's this very grounding element, I think, in the sort of the superhero world of the show. And I always really like that in these kinds of genres of what is the really human and really kind of, I don't know, like what I'm like, I can see that, like mom, dad, and me, and I really liked those elements in the story.
Jacobs?
Well, I sadly didn't get to record with anyone else, so I'll say my answer will be learning how to make all kinds of fight epic battle noises that you have to do when you're doing a series like this, and they're like, kick harder, now you're running away, now you're really, punching with great force. So that was a fun, sure, standing by myself in a recording booth.
Mr. Quinto?
Well, Gillian kind of took my answer, actually, because, the interesting thing about doing an animated series is being in the recording booth at first, before the animation is really rendered and brought to life, and then going back later and doing those noises that she was talking about and seeing in the intervening months how much incredible work has gone into bringing those sequences to life. And they're I think on this show they're really cutting edge in a way, but they're also kind of greatly old school as well. There's this really great blend of forward-leaning storytelling and animation with a kind of anchor to classic comic book fights that I think audiences will really respond to. So I love the grunts and the panting that we had to do in order to bring that all to life.
Yeah. You've never lived until you've spent like a good 20 minutes watching an actor alone in a booth pretending to kick and lift heavy things and throw things and fight. It really
totally.
It is a sight to
get thrown and convulsing and all different kinds of experiences, for sure.
And the best is, I don't know,
Go on.
I don't know if it happened with all of you, but you would come in for a second session and it would be like, oh, and now that we're done, we're going to need some more fight sounds. Is that okay? Can we get some more fight sounds?
Yeah.
Just watching everyone go, oh my God. A lot of fun.
And I can imagine that once you're part of a superhero project, the interviewers used to ask you what kind of super power you would like to have, right? But I'm going to make something a bit different. I would like to ask you guys to choose one of the useless superpower and tell me why you've chosen. And here are some options. 1, uncontrollable flight. 2, to resurrect cockroaches. 3, have invincible pancreas. 4, be able to talk to any fruit. Mr. Kirkman?
Oh, I get to go first? Okay. So I feel like I'm already able to talk to any fruit. The question is whether or not they talk back to me. I had a nice conversation with my banana at breakfast this morning. It didn't have a lot to say, but I already have that power. An invisible pancreas, I might as well have an invisible pancreas right now. I think most of us will go through our lives without seeing our pancreas or seeing someone else's pancreas, so I'm going to pass on that one. No one wants to resurrect cockroaches. That seems like the exact opposite of what you want to do with cockroaches. So I'm gonna go with uncontrollable flight, because I feel like the actual hard part of having flight is to be able to have the lift, you know? So if the uncontrollable flight includes the flight part of flight, controlling the flight, you know, you could artificially figure out some way of doing that with, you know, wings and vents and whatever. So I feel like you could take uncontrollable flight and turn it into controlable flight pretty easy. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
Wow. That is sound logic. Sound logic.
Yeah. Mr. Steve Young?
I don't know who would divert from that. Like, who's going to come up with the different?
Yeah, I mean, he just covered all 4 bases for us all, I think.
He really just gave us all the answer.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to
say. Know what your grapes think?
Yeah, I was just going to say everything else looks like dangerous and life ruining. So I was going to go with the cockroaches thing because, you know, it'll just be a nascent power that I never use.
You've never lived in a tenement in Hell's Kitchen, clearly, because you don't really want that.
I just don't want to talk to the fruit I'm about to eat, you know? Sorry.
Yeah, I feel the same. When I first read the options, I thought it was an invincible pancreas, and I was like, that's obviously the answer.
Oh, yeah.
But then I looked again, and it was invisible.
Yeah. That's not as good.
Yeah, invincible pancreas.
Yeah, really, the word invincible should be in there somewhere. Seems.
Yeah.
You're right.
Able to resurrect invincible cockroaches.
with the pancreas on. Mr. Kirkman, you've assembled quite the voice cast for this series, but we understand we have even more in store for fans. Can you break some news for us here today, now?
I think I can. I can do that. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, here's the list. We got some new actor announcements. Is everybody ready? Get your hands ready. We got Clancy Brown coming in as Damien Darkblood. Whoa. We've got Jaimin Hanzu, who is playing the Martian Emperor. We've got Ezra Miller, everybody's favorite Flash, coming in as D.A. Sinclair. Whoa. We've got Jeffrey Donovan, who is playing Machine Head. Should I pause for woes in between every one of them? I apologize.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, Jeffrey Donovan, Machine Head. He's been great. We got Nicole Byer coming in to play the mysterious Vanessa and Fiona. Who could these people be? We've got John Hamm, who is playing the mysterious Steve. That's right. John Hamm is Steve. I think the internet just blew up, so get ready for that. And then we got Jonathan Groff, who is playing Rick. And last but not least, we have Mahershala Ali, who is playing the character Titan. So comic fans should be very excited about that.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Oh, so applause.
This lineup has just gotten that much more insane. I think the cast, everyone present included, the cast on this show is just so monumental and huge. I am blown away every time I see the list of everybody that's in this show. I couldn't be more excited for the fans to get to see how all these characters come to life. It's going to be really awesome.
Mr. Kirkman, thank you very much for the news, and all the cast, thank you very much for taking your time to be part of CCXP. Hopefully, next time you can control your flight and come to Brazil. We have some time. The pandemic will be over, and you're more than welcome to come to Brazil next time. Thank you very much for your time, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Only
you.
one person.
Bye.
Thank you.
Muito bem, olha só que maravilha. E terminamos aí com uma novidade. We just finished with some news about Amazon Prime Video Invincible. Guys, that was amazing. Thank you very much. And I believe we have something else from Amazon Prime Video. Now.
Get up, get up, get up! Come on, come on, come on!
Everyone always asks, what's our special weakness? Our weakness is the same as anyone's. It's people.
People are all we've got. So grab the night by its nipples and
People.
Had cheetah print dancing on the people, rolled up at the after joint, dancing on the people. I got people on the dancing on the people. I got people.
You still look great. Thanks. No, 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 no!
This is a joke, right?
Let's dance.
Hello.
Welcome home.